aim at dividing the peace and communities into ethnic clans and reorganizing. The human rights violations are dispensable. The constitution and constitutional freedom are okay. The constitution and constitutional freedom are disagreed daily. Since previously, crimes have gone unpunished. Mr. Condé regime has already registered several dozens of civilians killed by the brutal Guinean security force, the military group recruited by Mr. Condé. Dozens and seriously wounded over 1,000 people, including peace demonstrators since 2011. The lethal use of force against unarmed and peaceful protesters is and remain inappropriate and unacceptable. This must be condemned by us all. The Guinean government has legal obligation under several international and African human rights treaties. These include international covenants or civil and political rights, and the African Charter of Human Rights and People's Rights, which require government to respect the right to life and freedom of expressing and assembly. The barbaric and inhuman action of the armed force against the people they are supposed to protest and defend, and the response of the government. Can only justify the eternity, separating the dictatorship and the continuity operations of Guineans. We, the Guineans, will no longer tolerate dictatorship, electoral masquerade, and abuse of human rights. No tolerate bad governance. The culture of injustice, impunity, and ethnic division. We seek the intervention of the UK in order to make democracy and the rule of law in a reality in Guinea. Thank you
very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Alpha Condé! Alpha Condé!
Alpha Condé!
Must go!
Alpha Condé
Must go!
Okay, guys.
Tony Blair out of Guinea.
Are you going to read again?
Please, brothers, listen to the memorandum being read by Mr. Ibrahim, the representative of UFDZ in the UK. Big hands for him. Yeah! Yeah!
Thank you, guys. So this letter is addressed to the British government. You're right, Honorable. We representative of the following opposition parties of the Republic of Guinea-Conakry, group under three main blocks known as the Collectif des Partis Politiques pour la Finalisation de la Transition, Alliance pour la Démocratie et le Progrès, et le Club des Républicains. The Guinean Community Organizations, Portal UK, currently residing in the United Kingdom, hereby request an urgent and active intervention of the British government in order to put an end in the current political crisis that has beset our country, Guinea. This crisis remains between President Alpha Condé and his government on the one hand, and the opposition parties on the other. Over 40 political parties are affiliated to the above opposition blocs. Firstly, we would like to stress that the political crisis in Guinea began soon after the presidential elections held on 7th of November 2010, from which Mr. Alpha Condé was declared President of the Republic of Guinea. The roots of the current crisis lie in Mr. Condé's policies and behavior as president. Ever since he was sworn in on 21st December 2010, he has been continuously abusing the laws of the land and the Constitution. And subsequently, the crisis has gradually worsened. So far, from political violence to ethnic-oriented repression, several dozens of Guineans have been killed and over 1,000 more have been victims, wounded by bullets, arrested, tortured, raped, and vanished of the brutal repression of the Guinean security forces, including Mr. Condé's close protection guards, the Red Berets. Moreover, despite calls from the opposition and the civil society organization, Mr. Condé remains unable or unwilling to create a favorable environment for any form of constructive dialogue between the opposition parties and the government in order to find peaceful solutions to the situation. Though it is worth noting that the origin of all disputes and current violence is linked to the organization of the long-awaited parliamentary elections in Guinea. The controversy revolves around the following. The two joint contractors firms, Waymark and Sabari Technology, responsible for managing the voting register since early 2011, were unilaterally recruited by President Alpha Condé. Waymark is an unreliable firm which has been removed from the United Nations database since the 17th of September 2008. Waymark's records on managing electoral processes in Africa have been either very controversial or disastrous and bloody in several countries, including Zambia and Zanzibar. In Guinea, the hiring of both Waymark and Sabari Technology was neither legal nor transparent. Both firms were handed out very lucrative contracts without any bidding process as required by law. Therefore, would like to reiterate unambiguously that if these two unreliable firms are not replaced by a professional and trustworthy company, which will be hired according to our electoral laws, Guinea could inevitably descend into civil war. According to Guinea's electoral laws, the Guinean diaspora has the right to vote during both presidential and parliamentary elections. During the last presidential elections in 2010, Guinean civilians living in 18 countries were allowed to vote. That was 11 in Africa, 2 in North America, and 5 in Europe. Despite our campaigns, for some political reasons, Mr. Condé and his regime are vehemently opposed to any vote from the Guinean diaspora. As Guinean law authorizes this universal right to be exercised, the vote of the Guinean diaspora remains a sticking point in the dispute. For the opposition, it is a matter of respecting the rule of law and rights, whereas Mr. Condé, suspecting the electorate will not vote for his coalition again, the diaspora must be kept out of all costs. Bakary Fofana, head of the Electoral Commission, which is responsible for the planning, organization, management, and monitoring of the elections in Guinea, has repeatedly shown his complete allegiance to Mr. Condé and his party. The Electoral Commission in Guinea, like in any other democratic country, must be neutral, independent from any influence. But since taking office on 1st November 2012, Mr. Fofana has unilaterally made several ill-advised decisions without the knowledge or consultation of representatives of the opposition. This is contrary to the laws governing this body. Considering the crucial role of the Electoral Commission during an election, it is very important for the opposition parties to have faith in this body, which has the power to make or break people's dreams. The Electoral Commission has been biased in the past. However, if this is repeated in the next election, it could lead to ethnic violence, civil war in Guinea. You're right, Honorable. The issues highlighted above constitute the elements of disagreement between Mr. Alpha Condé and his government and the opposition. The latter is neither asking for impossible actions nor requesting a luxury or special favors from Mr. Condé and his regime. We are demanding rule of law in Guinea. We are demanding Mr. Condé to abide by the oath he took on 21st December 2010 in front of the world. Mr. Condé's reluctance regarding his desire to impose Waymark and Sabari technology and exclude the Guinean diaspora from the voting process in this elusive parliamentary elections would inevitably lead to enhancing a policy that favors a clan rather than the people of Guinea. Nevertheless, this untenable situation has prompted opposition parties to mobilize their supporters and organize peaceful demonstrations and are calling for a constructive debate between all the parties involved in order to find a solution to the above issues. On Wednesday, 27 February 2013, the three blocs of the opposition parties, led by the opposition leader, Mr. Selou Dalen Diallo, called its supporters to come out on the streets and peacefully protest for a fifth time since May 2012 against what is viewed as a dashed off of an electoral masquerade and a burgeoning dictatorship. Since that Wednesday, there has been continuous violence. So far, 10 people have been killed while protesting and hundreds wounded. All of these victims have been killed or wounded by the Guinean security forces, backed by thugs from the ruling party and militia groups known as the Donzos, recruited by Mr. Alpha Condé since 2010. It is worth noting that these attacks are not random. On every occasion, some members of the Guinean security forces, including Mr. Condé's close protection security guards, the Red Berets, the Donzos, and the RPG thugs, have been besieging strongholds of the opposition, targeting and killing people on the basis of either their political party, political affiliation to the UFDG, or their ethnic group. The leader of the opposition, whose political party is the UFDG, comes from the largest ethnic group in the country, the Fulani, accounting for about 40% of the general population. However, the army is disproportionately dominated by Mr. Condé's ethnic group and is using this as a political weapon against his opposition. Since Wednesday's protest, homes, businesses, shops, and vehicles belonging to people believed to be members of the UFDG party or Fulani people are targeted, and this group is often the sole victim. About 194 people have been injured by live bullets fired by the Guinean security forces, 12 of whom are in critical conditions, and a further 27 with sustained several wounds. More so, there have been an unspecified number of arrests of opposition militants, of whom the majority is believed to be from the Fulani ethnic group. Moreover, during the recent attacks, 7 out of the 10 people killed were from the Fulani group. This situation is unacceptable. It is never a good time to ask for the UK to be involved in such a challenging crisis, especially when you are already helping to improve our country's situation, including our neighboring Mali. However, we strongly believe that the UK can and should play a strong role in finding a durable solution to this situation, to this social political situation. At present, as Guineans, we remain unable to find a middle ground amongst ourselves. There are several reasons for this deadlock. President Condé is energetically working on policies aimed at ethnically dividing people and imposing a 20th century dictatorship in Guinea. And this for exercising absolute power. Already, the Guinean civil society has fallen into this trap, Mr. Condé dividing them into clans based on ethnic and regional origin. Fortunately, all of the parties which allied with Mr. Condé during his controversial election have joined the UFDG and its allies in the opposition. Considering the above, we will urge the UK government to actively help the people of Guinea contain this crisis. Otherwise, Guinea will be inevitably heading towards a civil war, which already holds all the hallmarks of the Rwandan genocide, which opposed Hutus and Tutsis in 1994. In Guinea, it is still time to prevent such a human disaster from happening. As your active influence through the European Union, the United Nations and allied countries will put an end to this one-man rule. Mr. Condé must respect the rule of law and follow a good governance agenda in Guinea. Considering the gravity of the political situation and the ethnic tensions in Guinea, both social harmony and political stability is in jeopardy. A civil war in Guinea would be much worse than the conflict in Mali, and its consequences could affect the entire sub-region. Finally, for any international involvement in the resolution of this crisis, we would recommend the active participation of your government, and this could benefit both the UK and Guinea. A peaceful Guinea will be a more stable West Africa, and such actions would help millions of women, children, and men in Guinea avoid the bloody experience of neighboring Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. We implore you to use all of your diplomatic leverage to set a precedent in Guinea by helping implement democracy, rule of law, and justice in this part of Africa. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, we need some representatives of Portal UK here to sign this letter with the UFDG so we can hand this to the British government. Portal UK, please. Okay, Aziz is here.
Before we go, we want to thank everybody for being here, giving us support, and for your voices, for your money that you have given, for your time that you have taken off from your jobs to come here today. So big hands to you, may God bless you all, and may God make us one of the most successful individuals on this earth. And one more time, we're going home by saying, Alpha Condé must go! Alpha Condé must go! What we need in Guinea? Justice! 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 Alpha Condé must go! Alpha Condé must go! Alpha Condé must go! Thank you very much. Thank you, Jarama.
Okay, on behalf, thank you very much for coming and for shouting loud enough so that the British government can hear you. This message will be handed in to the British government, and we will also hand a letter to Tony Blair's office. And I think Aziz also, on behalf of Portal, would like to thank you.
We, Portal Fib Antal, as you all know, one of the largest organizations in the UK, and the majority of everybody here is part of Portal Fib Antal. So we thank you all for being here today, and we thank organizers. And this is just to remind people about the list of the victims in Guinea. So please, can we hold 1 minute silence for all the bodies that I'm going to call their name. Number one, we got Mr. Mamadou Bah. He's a 23-year-old student, and he is Fulani. Mr. Bah. The next, we got Abdullah Sow. He's a 13-year-old student. What a poor life, how to end your life. A 13-year-old boy to be killed by a brutal government. The next is Albert Faye Touré. May his soul rest in peace. Then we have Charo Abdullah Bah, Mamadou Alpha Jallo, that is a 15-year-old boy that lost his life just going to buy a plate. Mamadou Bah, 18 years, died from this cause. Dauda Kamara, a carpenter as well, died from this cause. And Mamadou Ali Bah, 21 years old, is a businessman, also been killed. All of you, we are killed unlawfully by a brutal regime. We will not rest until justice is done.